Thank you very much for your insightful lecture.
Thank you.
And your journey and the discovery of genomic imprinting were truly fascinating.
Thank you.
Right after Kenya gained independence, you moved from your small hometown to study in the UK.
Yes.
I believe that the environment was completely different, but did you ever feel overwhelmed or face any difficulties?
Yes, of course there were many difficulties. I guess I would put it in this way, that I was in the survival mode. So I had to find, so I think my basic idea in my mind was that I had to find some way of gaining education, which I was told, which is what I should do. And so I was very focused on trying to find something to do, but I didn't want to do anything. I wanted to do something that I felt was important, and I wanted to do something which I thought was worthwhile. So after I got to UK, that's what I was searching for. And so I spent the initial part, went to a couple of universities in the UK, got some training, but hadn't yet found my long-term ambition of getting my teeth into something. And then so the situation in the UK was not great. There's a lot of immigrants coming from former colonies. So it was a difficult period, and I got a little bit disenchanted. So I actually left UK. I went to Paris with the idea that I'd probably not come back. But during my 2 years in Paris, which was very enjoyable, I learned about non-scientific things like art and literature and so on, politics as well, because it was post-68 after the student revolution, so it was quite an exciting time to be there. I met Bob Edwards, who, it was a chance meeting, and it was a lucky break for me. He offered me a position to do a PhD. So I went to Cambridge with that, and then I found my direction from that.
Yes, I think you were lucky.
I was very lucky.
Yes. What do you think, what makes the difference between those chance meeting and the letting it pass by?
Well, the thing is, when I met Bob by accident, I never thought that this was my opportunity, because this was a very casual meeting. So I think sometimes you're not aware that this is something which is going to be a very life-changing meeting. In retrospect, you think this was very important. So it's not always very obvious. And I hadn't gone and met him. There was no expectation. I was just chatting to him. And I don't think he had expected to offer me anything.
Oh, really?
So it was just happens. You have to be lucky in life too.
I see. If you hadn't been born and raised in Kenya, how different do you think your view of life and science might have been?
Well, when I went to UK in 1963, I could have ended up anywhere. There was I didn't have any plan or anything. It was completely unplanned and unexpected. I was just trying to figure out things that I would enjoy doing and hope I could find it. And so I had no plan. And I think if I hadn't been born in Kenya and went there later, I don't know what would have happened. I didn't know when I went to the UK what would happen.
Okay. You have been conducting research that challenges conventional thinking, such as virgin birth. What kind of boy were you as a child?
Oh. You're asking me things that happened such a long time ago.
Sorry about that.
As somebody said, the older you get, the more clearly things that never happened. So, that's. I think I was lucky in some ways that I was born in the African landscape, which was very had diverse life form. And that, I think, might have had an impact on me because that was probably became curious about how life can be so diverse, how organisms develop, and so on. But you know, as I mentioned, when I was growing up, I had no role models. You know, or there was nowhere you can find any information. It was a very small town, and although we were, as kids, we would go and catch this fish, and very diverse colors and beautiful. There's nowhere I could go and find out what this fish were or why there were so many different types. So it was difficult in that way. But you know, somehow you're curious about why that should be. And I guess you carry this kind of an idea in your head that there must be an explanation. So maybe that's what kind of got me eventually into a direction that was fulfilling for me.
That's fascinating. You mentioned in the video that it is important to find your own question. And I think doing so could be very difficult. Do you have any tips or training methods for this?
No, I think my view is that in science, the most difficult thing is to find the question. You know, it sounds very simple, but that really is the most difficult thing, to articulate the question that you think would be interesting. And as I also mentioned, you have to define the question, and you also have to have some idea of why you think it might be important. And if you have those things together, that becomes your driving force, because you need something to keep you going. Because the thing about research, which people in the audience who are scientists will know, that most experiments fail.
Yes.
You know, it's not like you go into a lab and everything works. Most of the experiments fail. You have to learn from your failed experiments. And you have to, having the question and the idea of why this is important keeps you going, because you persist, you know. So you learn resilience and also optimism. You know, you have to be optimistic that the next experiment you do will be successful. And this is always, you have to keep in mind, that keeps you going.
That's the driving force.
That's the driving force. But you know, if you're curious about something and you want to know the answer, that's what also drives you. You know, that's why curiosity is such an important driving force. And you become obsessed. You want to know the answer, and you become obsessive about finding the answer to the question you have set, and that keeps you going.
Okay. I hear that fewer and fewer academics are pursuing basic scientific research, as it often requires significant time and resources. What are your thoughts on the importance of basic research?
Well, my view is that basic research is the pipeline for new discovery, new things that you don't know about. I think that's not to say that applied research, translational research is also very important, because that's where you find cures for diseases and so on. But I think if you want to find new knowledge, you have to have the ability to find something that is unknown. And I think the curiosity can lead you into discoveries, unanticipated discoveries, like I did for genomic imprinting. This was not something I went to look for. It just happened that I found it.
It just happened?
It just happened.
Oh, wow.
But it just didn't happen. It took many, many years of very hard work. But eventually, yeah, I was fine.
Wow. When you encounter obstacles in your research, how did you overcome them?
Well, I drank a little bit, time to time. But no, I think somehow, you get over, failures, and you have to kind of think through it and think, because I think failed experiments also teach you things. So you have to kind of be calm about it and sit down and assess, why things are not working. and then you try to redesign experiments and keep going.
I heard that your lab attracts many researchers from around the world. What do you value most in your lab?
I think one of the things which I've been very fortunate with is that I've always had a lab with people of many different nationalities. Many Japanese colleagues also came there. And somehow, I think having people from different backgrounds and different nationalities, it's interesting that people have different ways of solving problems, and having a mixture of people and different ideas coming together in this kind of a lab, about 10 people or so, creates some kind of dynamism which may not occur otherwise. And so I've been fortunate having this kind of many nationalities and people from different backgrounds and so on coming together, sharing the curiosity about something and fascinated by some problem, and come together. So, and then magic happens.
Magic happens. Wow, that's so incredible. What kind of advice would you give to them?
Don't stop, just keep going. You know, you don't be put off by things that deter you. Don't say, you know, this is an obstacle. You just have to keep going, and as I said, be optimistic, because if you keep going and keep trying, you know, it's amazing how things work out. It may not be the result that you anticipated, but you will get something out of it.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Surani.
Thank you.
ありがとうございました。
Thank you.